safe to say that few, if any, of them or us could have found Vietnam on a world map. At least 2 of those brave Marines lost their lives in Vietnam, and others carried the scars, both physical and mental, of that war for the rest of their lives. Following word of the deaths of Mike Connolly in May of 1967 and Tommy Gatto a month later, a new anxiety kept through our region, as we had suffered the tragic loss of 2 of our own. For our Dupree family, the dangers of that war in that foreign country of Vietnam seemed closer somehow. My brother-in-law, Arthur, had enlisted in the Marine Corps on June 29, 1966, immediately after his high school graduation. Not quite 5 months after the North Country platoon began their journey, Art followed his dream to serve and protect. As we all have days, indeed moments in those days, that forever will be embedded in memory, I will always remember the phone call to our home about 6 o'clock on the morning of August 16, 1968. The voice of my distraught father-in-law telling me the Marines were at their house, and he needed Elmer and me to be there right away. He didn't have to say another word. 10 days later, Elmer and I went to the funeral home to identify Art's body, and then returned to the house to confirm to my in-laws that in fact their son, one of their babies, had been killed in the jungles of Vietnam in Quang Thai province, where North Country platoon Marines Mike Connolly and Tommy Gatto had suffered their fatal injuries the year before. With our family, the entire North Country again mourned the loss of one of our own. This recognition today of the North Country platoon, and by association all of the brave men and women who served our North Country, the great state of New York, and our United States over the years, particularly in the Vietnam War, is long overdue. I thank and commend Steve Bowman and all who have worked so hard to assure the memories of those lost and the bravery and sacrifices of those still alive are not and will not be forgotten. We have shown in our proud military heritage, including the walls that surround us today with so many names, Art's among them, that we as a region, as North Country families, care for and have the greatest respect for those who serve in our armed forces. As a country, we've moved beyond those protests that were so disruptive and disrespectful to our military. Another memory I will always carry from that dark day of August 16th, 1968, is going to the bank in Peru just a few hours after we learned of Art's death. A man stood there with a sign protesting the Vietnam War. No, we can't forget. We need to remember that our returning Vietnam veterans were not given parades and were not thanked for their service and immense sacrifices to preserve our freedoms. Although it was an incredibly dark time in our history for those of us who lived through those 60s and early 70s, we will not forget. Because if we forget, we have done a further disservice to those brave and dedicated men and women. So yes, we remember. Today, we particularly remember with gratitude and reverence the members of the North Country platoon. I extend my personal heartfelt thanks to those platoon members who are here today and to the families of all who served and are no longer with us. We remember, we salute you, we will not forget. Each and every day, but particularly on this Memorial Day weekend, may we join in unison, each in our own way and in our own beliefs, that peace will prevail so no other families endure that knock on the door. God bless those who serve in our military and their families.